SNS, the most unique and flexible weapon in Monster Hunter World for many reasons. And despite popular belief, none of these reasons are because it is quote a beginner's weapon unquote or quote a support weapon unquote. Interestingly enough, the most unique thing about Sword and Shield is the balance of its kit relative to itself and the other weapons.
Blocking, dodging, attacking with well-balanced combos that can be used in any situation. Sword and Shield can do it all. It's not overtuned like Bow, and it's not undertuned like Gunlance. It's well-rounded and accessible.
Sword and Shield is in the upper middle tier of DPS outputs and TA speedrun times. In our opinion, Sword and Shield is the standard of what a well-balanced and strong weapon should look like in Monster Hunter World. Learning proper combos combined with meta builds leads to SNS being one of the best and by far the most balanced weapon in Monster Hunter World. But how do you maximize the damage on your SNS? Well, I'm JinJinx.
And I'm Tuna. And we're the Monster Hunter Math Guys.
And this is Monster Hunter World Meta Builds, Raw Sword and Shield sets. In this video, we'll have a brief recap on what the optimal Raw SNS combos look like and when to use them, as well as of course the meta sets. Also a quick reminder, Tuna is a Sword and streamer over at twitch.tv/TunaTaco. We are equal partners and share everything. So following him on Twitch and coming to hang out is one of the best ways you can help support us for free. In fact, as soon as this video comes out, Tuna will be live on Twitch, so be sure to come over and hang out and chat. Now there are a lot of SNS meta sets, so we are going to be covering this in a 3-part series. In this first video, we are covering the Raw SNS builds, in the next the Elemental sets, and then finally the Status sets. But first, let's briefly recap the Raw SNS combos because we will be referring to these a lot throughout the video.
Sword and Shield is one of the most versatile weapons in Monster Hunter World. It's the only weapon in that Raw, Elemental, and Status are not only good, but also have completely different playstyles and combos. We've already covered these playstyles and combos in depth in our last video, link in the top right in description. But here's a quick recap on how Raw SNS plays. We focus on 2 combo loops, the Falling Bash and the Slash combos.
Falling Bash is objectively your highest DPS rotation possible on SNS in most situations. It has almost the exact same motion value as a level 1 True Charge Slash on Greatsword and has 2 elemental damage procs to boot. It has the highest motion value per second on SNS's kits, half the hit stone consumes sharpness and also deal blunt damage, and also blunt hit zone values are almost universally higher than Sever, making the damage even higher. Oh, and it deals KO. TLDR on Raw SNS, if you can land this combo, you should use it. But sometimes that's not possible due to monster
geometry
or the animation time, hence why we still also use the Slash combo. Out of all of these sword-based combos, the Slash combo deals the most raw damage per second, but the least elemental damage per second.
Its motion value per second is slightly lower than the Bash combo, but between Bash dealing blunt damage and KOing, the Slash combo falls behind in pure DPS on Raw sets. The trade-off is lower animation commitment, making it safer. The damage is also front-loaded, meaning you can fit more damage into smaller windows. This makes it great for tripping or flinching, and then giving you an opportunity to Falling Bash.
MaestroNox put together this neat little flowchart explaining exactly how to Raw SNS. The TLDR is a Slash combo until the monster trips over, then Unga Bunga the head until dead.
Legacy and Waltz combos are situationally useful, but Slash is the most effective until a Falling Bash opening.
And just to clarify, a Falling Bash opening is not only when a monster is tripped, it's pretty much any time you are sure you're going to land it if you use it. Alright, now that we understand the combos for Raw SNS, let's talk about the builds. So out of all the Raw SNS builds, the ones you will use the most often are those using the Joe Sword and Shield.
And to help us cover these sets, here's a good friend and speedrunner, MaestroNox.
Huh? Tuna, stop. I'm playing Fire Emblem.
If you don't record these lines, so help me.
Oh, for God's sake, fine. Hey everyone, I'm MaestroNox. I do things with SNS and I'm here to tell you about my go-to SNS mix set. This set uses the Joe's SNS due to its extremely high raw values. The dragon it has just solidifies its position since most elders have a dragon weakness. With a handicraft charm, it sits at a comfortable 30 hits of white. Since crits synergize with Master's Touch, you mitigate the low affinity it has with affinity augment and skills, and run 3 points of crit boost to take advantage of all that crit you have. You sit at around 98 affinity with Max Might. and SNS doesn't have any trouble keeping stamina up, even with constant back hops. That's more than enough for Master's Touch to be effective at keeping your sharpness healthy. Since monsters are so easy to enrage in World due to their low health, Agitator will activate really early in the fight, pushing your affinity to 100 and giving you some free attack. Airborne is just a bonus from Jack and it doesn't really do much, since Falling Bash doesn't benefit from it. Can I go back to my strategy RPGs now?
Is it okay? Tuna says it's okay.
Ooh.
But seriously, thank you so much for coming on Maestro and sharing your build with everyone. Maestro is the sexy beast you see fighting Behemoth in the background right now. He streams weeb games like Monster Hunter World and Fire Emblem over at twitch.tv/MaestroNox, be sure to go check him out. Now let's briefly revisit Maestro's Joe SNS Agitator set and expand on a few things.
Sword and Shield is one of the few weapons that improved with Nerd Gamma. This updated version of the Joe SNS has the highest potential EFR, but only while Agitator is active, making it ideal in shorter fights. At 548.86 EFR and 23.63 EFE, this is the hardest hitting raw set most of the time. The only monsters you wouldn't use this against are dragon immune monsters like Odogaron and Black Diablos.
Or in matchups where you might need more sharpness, but more on that in a second.
Without Agitator active, this set only runs 90% affinity with White Sharpness and Master's Touch. On average, that's 600 hits on weak points to Blue Sharpness. That's more than enough considering that your Falling Bash shield hits don't consume sharpness. We run a health augment on this set for comfiness, but an attack affinity combo would be your highest damage.
Now, as Maestro mentioned earlier, max smite uptime isn't really an issue on Sword and Shield. I mean, yes, the backhops do consume stamina, however, if you backhop into a Falling Bash, only the first sword hit does not get max smite. By the time the rest of your hits have landed, all of your stamina has regenerated. On top of that, if you eat for Feline Black Belt, all of the hits get max smite uptime. Now, you will still occasionally not have max might on slash combos right after rolling or backhopping, but it's still the most efficient way to hit 100% affinity on this build. This is also why Handicraft 3s are recommended for more comfy whites. Between the occasional max might non-crit and weak point whiffs, it's possible to lose some sharpness on the build. Technically, you hit higher EFR if you only run one Handicraft on the build by changing the charm to a max might or Wex charm and changing one of those to a Handicraft deco. But you only gain one Agitator and one attack boost out of it with 99% affinity with Agitator active. Not worth it in our opinion. If you hit Blue Sharpness with this build at any point during the hunt, the 3 Handicraft build will outperform it.
If you don't like running Agitator, this is the old no Agitator Joe SNS set. It trades the 2 Agitator for 1 crit eye and 1 attack boost. This drops the potential EFR down to 539.62, a 9.24 EFR drop. You lose about 8 to 9 total damage per Falling Bash on a 60 hit zone value, but on higher Agitator uptime matches, this set is weaker than the previous Agitator set. Realistically, you'll use this set most of the time unless you're able to kill the monster before the enrage timer stops.
Again, you can run one Handicraft on this build, but all you gain out of it at most is one Agitator or one attack boost or one peak performance. Only one, not really worth it. Alright, so if you use Joe on most raw matchups in the game, what do you use on the others? Well, you have 2 options, the Ruin or the Styx SNS. Let's start with the Ruin build. With Peak and Agitator active, this has 560.19 EFR, which puts it at 12.04 more EFR than the Joe Agitator build with 4.46 effective blast. However, Blast is underpowered compared to elemental damage, so the Joe build still deals more against most monsters. It does trade back and forth depending on the blast resistances and the dragon hit zone values of the monster, but basically anything that is either immune or very close to immune to dragon, the rune tends to be better. Now, because Blast is underpowered and this is a raw SNS build, we don't run any blast attack in the build, it's just not worth the EFR drop. Also, this build is peak reliant. If you cannot maintain very high peak uptime, then the Joe SNS is just always better. However, between the health augment and the hasten recovery that's built into the Ruin SNS, this build does have a relatively easy time maintaining that peak performance. Still, if you get hit a lot, you're probably better off running one of the Joe SNS sets. This build also has insanely comfy levels of white sharpness with 50 natural units of white sharpness. You have to hit non-weak points a lot to hit blue sharpness with this, which can make it better in certain matchups where sharpness may be a concern, such as arc-tempered monsters. The longer a hunt goes on, the more you whiff weak points and the more sharpness you lose.
The next option is the Styx Sword and Shield. This set is similar to the Ruin we just showed, except the natural 10% affinity in Styx means we get to run an extra level of Agitator and attack boost. At 556.25 EFR, we're only 3.94 lower than the Ruin set. That's roughly 3 to 4 total damage per falling bash on a 60 hit zone value, with 75% more effective blast, which can more than make up for the EFR loss.
Now Styx does also have the same 50 natural units of white sharpness, but it also has natural razor sharp, which means that half of your hits don't count for sharpness loss. On top of that, falling bash, 2 of them are done with your shield and also don't lose sharpness. Oh, and you have Master's Touch with 100% affinity, so yeah, I will give you a cookie. I will mail you a cookie if you actually manage to hit blue sharpness during a hunt with this build. So, is the Styx or the Ruin better to use? The answer is, I don't know. See, the thing is, the Ruin is less reliant on Agitator and Peak for its damage output. It deals higher damage than the Styx if either of these are inactive. And Ruin heals back chip damage slightly faster because it also has the Haste and Recovery active. This generally means higher peak uptime assuming you do get hit sometimes. But assuming that you do rarely ever get hit and you have max Agitator uptime and the monster isn't immune to blast, the Styx should outperform the Ruin. Assuming you use slash combos. Against some matchups in the game, you just mostly spam falling bash. Now Status has a 33% chance of applying per hit, so that means every 3 falling bashes on average you only apply the Status application twice. In other words, when you're mostly spamming falling bashes, even though it has 75% more blast, it's very likely you won't actually get an extra blast proc against the monster. The application amount using falling bashes is just too low to actually break new threshold levels. So yeah, use either the Ruin or the Styx. They both have strengths and weaknesses, but they're all extremely marginal. Also, if you don't like using Agitator, but you also don't want to use the Joe SNS set, here is the lower Agitator version of the Ruin SNS build. Basically, you trade 2 Agitator for an attack boost and a crit eye. This drops the EFR to 549.39 EFR, but you are only reliant on 1 point of Agitator. In fact, if you are completely allergic to Agitator, you can switch out the Agitator deco for a max might deco and switch out a crit eye for an attack boost. This will give you more max might conditional affinity and lower your potential EFR, but if you're allergic to Agitator, you don't have to use any. Generally, you don't end up using this because Ruin is really only used against high Agitator uptime monsters, but it is an option if you're allergic to Agitator and are allergic to the Joe SNS. Alright, these 5 builds are all of the Raw SNS meta builds. Every other option simply falls behind these ones. But wait, you might be thinking that none of these are non-elemental builds. Well, that is correct because the non-elemental SNSs are objectively worse than these options.
The best possible non-elemental sword and shield is the Baroth Club 3. The Katie version of this, the Taroth Mud, is actually worse than the Baroth Club. The Mud SNS trades 1 augment and a level 2 slot for 10 more true raw. Not a worthwhile trade. At 566.16 EFR with Agitator and Peak active, this is only 5.97 EFR higher than the Ruin Agitator set. But that doesn't have Blast, meaning it would only outdamage it on blast immune monsters. But the Joe SNS beats this on any matchup that isn't almost immune to Dragon. In other words, the Baroth Club is only the best against blast immune monsters that take almost no Dragon damage.
Guess how many of those there are in the game? 0. The answer's 0. So yeah, the Baroth Club was actually meta way back in the day before Dragon existed, but it's since been outclassed in every matchup. Also, it's ugly. Now, those may be all the meta builds, but we are going to do something special to round out this video and include a build we would normally never include. The Streamer Special 9000. This is the build that Tuner runs on stream when playing against things like arc-tempered monsters. He gets asked about this build at least 40 times a stream, so we're including it per popular request. We call this a Streamer Special 9000 because, well, streamers are special and this build is 9000 IQ. Now, allow me to explain. So here's the thing, a good streamer has to read and respond to chat, and Tuner is a good streamer. Twitch.tv/TunerTaco. However, the brain is physically incapable of focusing on more than one thing at once. Technically, the brain cannot actually multitask, it just rapidly task switches. Colloquially, we call this rapid task switching multitasking. Now, when fighting something challenging on stream, such as arc-tempered monsters, a streamer has a classic conundrum. You either A, pay attention to the hunt and play well, or B, interact with chat.
But with the Streamer Special 9000, you have a third option. Run Health Boost 3, run Evade Window 5, and AFK kill monsters with muscle memory and minimal brain input while responding to chat. Truly 9000 IQ!
Basically, this build is the safest, comfiest AFK build for SNS that still deals high damage. At 487.87 EFR, it is the highest EFR build that can fit Health Boost 3, Evade Window 5, and Flinch Free for multiplayer streaming comfiness. Technically, you get more damage out of this with an Agitator build, but if you're doing comfy huts, then realistically Agitator doesn't have good uptime. Agitator only has good uptime on short hunts, and this build is not meant for those. Now, we don't run sticks because of its passive, although the sharpness uptime levels are ultimate levels of comfy. We run this because it simply gets the highest EFR while running all the utility skills. Its base stats are very nice and it has insane levels of slottage. Strangely, this is actually a unique choice to SNS because the sticks variant of the SNS has 10 more true raw than other weapon sticks variants. No idea why, that's just how it is. On other weapons, you'd run a very similar variant but probably with a ruin version instead and slot in a max might somewhere. Alright, that about does it, everybody. Sorry about that, some small technical difficulties. Sure hope my computer doesn't have a worm.
As always, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like it and share it around. That's the best way to support us for free. If you need to get in contact with us, or you're just looking for other hunters to hunt with, check out our Discord server, the Mathalos Nest. You can also follow us on Twitter for updates and other fun stuff, and you can also check me out on Twitch where I stream Monster Hunter and other games almost every day.
In fact, as soon as this video goes live, Tinu will be live on Twitch, so be sure to go check him out if you'd like to come ask some questions or just hang out. And of course, a thank you to Honey over at honeyhunterworld.com for creating and maintaining the tools we use to make all of these sets. And a huge thank you to MaestroNox for not only featuring his build in this video, but also providing the background footage. Link to his channel in the top right and his Twitch and channel in the description. And these videos would not be possible without the generosity of our patrons. So an especially huge thank you to MC Persona, Foray, Yoshi Cho, David Sternberg, XCLK07, Gilgi, Haika, Milky Powder, David Ju Sinclair, Kuritar, Warren Kios, Hensatsugen, Wedmanticore, Cap'n Big Brain, Bram Orsel, Anti-Spartan, Lightweight, The Local, PB Livingston, Jordan Petit, Skylar Yang, Kong Kong, Checkleman, Lupin, Mongus, Kumiko, Triple Agent, Augusto Oliveira, Alan O'Dom, Biget, Zimv, Sirkite, Billy Barthel, Wedgwood, Dandy, Cap'n Walmart, Magister Obscura, Jamie, and every single one of you who supports us on Patreon. Now that we're finishing up the meta series pre-Iceborne, looking back, it's been an amazing journey, and none of it would have been possible without your generosity. Thanks to you guys, we're able to create this high quality content you guys enjoy so much, dense with so much information that takes quite a bit of research time, so thank you, seriously.
We'll have elemental sets up soon, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when those go live. Hope to see you in the next one. Happy hunting, hunters.
Bye!